Does switching to a dumb phone or a flip phone actually make any difference to your life, or is it just another social media trend? That was the question that I had, and I also happen to have a pretty severe smartphone addiction, in my opinion. So I thought, well, how else am I possibly going to find out than just giving it a go myself? So that is what I did. I got myself a secondhand flip phone that does happen to have WhatsApp on, which is very useful, and some very basic functions. And this video is me trialing this phone out and my final thoughts.
I know it's not the prettiest. It's not a Motorola Razr in pink, which I have previously owned. It's quite handy. I mean, I would class it as like a dumbish phone. It still has an Android OS system on it. It's clunky, it's slow. Trying to open YouTube, it just takes you to the YouTube browser. It's not really an app, and it took forever to load. You would probably go in if you were desperate to watch one video. I think even if you really want to scroll, the experience of it would probably put you off. There's a light on the front which tells you if you've got a WhatsApp message. I'm assuming it's just for WhatsApp, but it's got a little light to say that you've got a notification, which I quite like. It doesn't show you who it is, what it says, or anything like that, which some people might not like. I personally quite like it. Even when I have my iPhone, all of my notifications are off other than WhatsApp. I haven't had notifications on for years and years at this point. Obviously didn't stop me from scrolling, but it is definitely useful for the picking it up aspect of it. So the screen is actually a touch screen. It's not, it's not the same feeling as using a iPhone. The icons are huge. I can't seem to see anything in the settings that means I can alter that or like change it to a list view or anything like that. It is kind of geared towards a senior citizen having this phone. There is an SOS button on the back. I'm assuming it calls an emergency contact, which, to be honest, I think it's actually would be quite useful to have just a button you can hit and you don't even need to be looking at the phone. Like, you can feel it. You hit that and it contacts someone. Like, I think that's actually quite a handy thing to have. And then it's got things like hearing aid compatibility, which, again, not only senior citizens need that. So I'm very happy. There's Facebook Lite. I haven't logged in. I don't know what that looks like, but I am not someone who enjoys Facebook. Then it also has YouTube, like you saw, but painfully slow, takes forever to load. I have logged in. I haven't watched a video yet. We will see what that's like. Then it's got browser, which automatically loads up Google, and then it's got email. It does, I've just clicked on it and it says, due to security restrictions, some providers like Gmail may not work with this app, which again is probably good because since I've not had social media on my iPhone, I keep constantly refreshing my emails. It's like I just desperately want to do the thumb swiping, which is actually really sad. QR codes don't work on this. I'm concerned that I'm not going to have my banking on here. Like, obviously I can check my banking when I'm at home. I do have an iPad, which I'm keeping the absolute need to have apps on. And my banking is app only, so I'm going to have to keep that on the iPad. But my concern is if my card got frozen, if they think my transaction's a bit dodgy and I'm out and about and then they freeze my card, I'm not going to have any of that contextual information because it's all going to come up on the app, which will be on the iPad, which I probably will not have with me. So that might be an issue. Like I said, there is an OS element to this, so I'm going to see what I can and cannot use. There's limited storage. You can put an SD card in it. I'm not going to put an SD card in it because the whole point is that I'm not using this the same way as the iPhone. I really don't think you could use this the same way as you use the iPhone because it's just not going to be a pleasant experience. If you're somebody who wants a dumb phone so you're not constantly scrolling and not constantly on your phone for no real reason, but you still want WhatsApp and you still want a couple of apps, this might be a good shout. But like I said, I've only been using it for like an hour or so and I've done it inside the house, which is obviously a lot easier. We will see how this week goes and how life with a flip phone is. I mean, those are some noisy birds. So annoyingly, you can send voice notes on WhatsApp, but I cannot figure out a way to dictate on here. Like I can't see any dictation options. I'm gonna have a little nose around and I'll put on the screen if I do manage to figure it out. But yeah, can't figure out how to do dictation. So I'm gonna have to use the T9 texting, which I'm not as slow as I thought because I'm a millennial, so I've had practice many, many years ago. Doesn't mean it's a pleasant experience, but then at the same time, I also don't want to spend, I need to remind myself the whole point is I don't want to spend the whole time on my phone. So if it's more annoying to text, then I'm going to be more likely to just pick up the phone and call somebody or send them a quick voice note and just do that rather than be sat on my phone texting for ages. Also, I have tested the front, it has a front and back camera, guys. It's pretty high tech. So it has a front camera in there, here, and then a back camera there, or is that the front camera and that the back? It has two cameras, and I will put the images up on the screen for you. It is very hard to take a non-blurry photo with this because just the shaking of myself means it immediately blurs. So I tried to kind of balance the phone on something to make it less shaky so you could see what that looks like. Because it would be very hard to not have a blurry image. Very, very minimal settings. It does have an alarm. It has voice memos. It has multimedia. Oh, okay, so multimedia is FM radio, video, which I imagine is truly awful on this thing, but I will test that tomorrow. A recorder and music, but again, I don't know how much storage is on this to be able to know how much music I can put onto it. I might try and put an album or something and a couple of albums on here and see whether or not I can listen to them. Okay, yeah, I've got like wired Apple headphones and they do fit in, so I might see if I can put music on here somehow. And the wire they've given me to charge it is a USB to, I can't remember what this one's called, micro cable, is that what it's called? But yeah, I don't know how to make it fully silent, which is also an issue because I hate any sound coming out of my phone. Or normal mode activated, silent mode activated. No, because when I took a picture earlier, it made the loudest camera sound I've ever heard. Let's see if it's now turned off, because I found the silent button as I said that. No, that's still incredibly loud. Go to more settings, scene mode, white balance. Oh, camera sound off. You can turn that sound off, thank God. The real test will be tomorrow when I'm going to the office. And also my colleagues are going to see this phone, which is going to be interesting. Okay, sorry I'm eating, but I just found the storage. So bearing in mind that all I've got so far is a couple of voice notes to my best friend on WhatsApp and 2 pictures. I have used 39% of my storage and I have 4.8 gigabytes free. I think I'm going to struggle to put anything else on this unless I get an SD card, which I don't want to do. The music might be an issue. I do have an MP3 player though, so I'm going to have to use my MP3 player. Which again is fine because I'm not trying to be like, I'm giving up everything. I like music. I like watching YouTube. I have healthy relationships with those things. I am trying to own my music rather than stream, which is why I've got my MP3 player. Although it is a fancy MP3 player, so technically it does allow for streaming, but obviously only when there's Wi-Fi or whatever. So to be honest, I feel like with the capabilities between this and my MP3 player, I think that's a good mix. So yeah, we will see. Okay, Waze doesn't work. Okay, so the Google Go app didn't work, but it does look like the Google app is working. It is just painfully slow. Good God. Okay, I don't think Maps really is something that's going to be happening with this device. Okay, so I don't know if this is oops. How do I make the Android file I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, it pops up here and it's in the file transfer mode, but for some reason it just will not let me, even though it is in the correct mode, do anything with this. And if I hit OK, it disappears. Ah! Okay, I don't know how I did it, but I did it. I'm so excited. Yes, Swifties rejoice. Obviously, you don't have to have Taylor Swift on here. You can have what you want. But I managed to put a whole album on. Excellent. The alarm on this thing is awful. I almost died of a heart attack. Okay, so it's an office day, so I'm bringing activities because I won't have my smartphone to do things on. So I've got my journal. I am a huge journaler anyway. And have a word search book because I actually really enjoy word searches. Like, I feel like I'm destined for a life of word searches, Sudokus, journaling. So it only seems right to have this bad boy. Kapow!
Okay, I now have to get to somewhere that I've only been to once. Oh. So I need to use the built-in sat-nav to do that. And the built-in sat-nav does not take into consideration any traffic. So, and the traffic is horrendous today. So I'm probably going to end up on the worst route that I can take. I have to write it down in a little book, because usually I'd obviously just have it in my email and then take it from the email, like the address and the code from the email into Apple Maps and just live an easy life. But not today. No ease today. Okay, that took me like almost an hour to get to where I need to go, and I'm convinced that had I had Apple Maps updating the whole way through, it wouldn't have taken quite as long. But anyway, now to walk to the office. I'm parked closer than usual, so I'm not even going to try and listen to music. I can't be bothered. Okay, it's very hard to get an angle here, but day one of being outside without a smartphone is complete. It was actually all right, to be honest. I didn't really run into many issues. I wrote down the address and the code that I needed for my parking, so that was fine. But I'm like obviously very conscious about doing that kind of stuff at the moment. I feel like there's definitely going to be things that I'm going to forget. I haven't been able to check my emails all day, which has been a little bit annoying because there are some that I'm waiting for. My call forwarding worked fine, so that's all good. My colleague thought my flip phone was hilarious and took a selfie with it. And I managed to WhatsApp people. The calls that I needed still came through because they forwarded from my iPhone's number, and I had my wallet so I could still pay for stuff. I didn't forget that, which is a big fear, that I'm going to forget to take a purse or a wallet or whatever, because I never take them. I just leave with my phone and my keys, and that's usually it. But didn't do that, so that's a win. This is a terrible angle and terrible lighting. It's only like 4:15 or 4:30, sorry, and it's really, really dark. But yeah, so far it's fine. I would say the main thing that I really miss is the camera, like having video and camera all the time. That is definitely the main thing that I miss, because I like capturing and documenting everything, and I wasn't able to do that, so I had to keep getting other people to take pictures. Yeah, so I do really miss the camera. The camera is probably my biggest issue at the moment, because if you want to just take a quick picture with your work colleagues, you're not going to whack out an actual camera. It seems a bit weird. And then the camera on my flip phone is rubbish, although we did still take a photo on it, just because they were bemused by the idea, I think. Good morning. So I am off to go try on my bridesmaid's dress at my nan's house. I might also pop into Boots, and my Boots card is on my smartphone, so I am cheating and I am reluctantly bringing my iPhone but keeping it off at the bottom of my bag, because I refuse to pay full price for stuff in Boots just because I can't access a physical card at the moment. So yeah, that probably is cheating, but I'm not paying extra to prove a point. So we are taking my smartphone for, look at my hair, for that reason. I'm very aware that I need to dye my hair, but I had a scalp biopsy thing, so I have a cut here, so I cannot dye my hair currently, and it's so yellow and my roots are so bad, and I just have to pray that it's healed enough for me to dye my hair before I'm a bridesmaid, because otherwise that's going to be really shit. So far it's actually been, again, I'm really not having that many issues with this. It's just like practical things around store cards and like student discount cards and stuff like that that I really can't seem to find a workaround for, because some of the places want a code that you can only get on the app, and they're obviously intentionally not making it super easy because they'd rather you spend more money, which is very annoying. So yeah, I need to try and find a way to figure out the whole discount card, store card thing. I need to drive to my nan's now. I'm not using Apple Maps. I am using the built-in system that comes in for my car. It's just ugly and I don't like it, but that's what I'm using because I'm trying not to completely cheat. This is connected to the car, but I don't think calls connect to the car. So I also don't think I can answer the phone when I'm driving, because it's not going through my car, and obviously you're not allowed to touch your phone. So
am considering the Light Phone 3 because it has the camera. But to be honest, the camera on this isn't that bad. Like, I have sent photos on WhatsApp and they're fine. Lack of a built-in GPS that actually works properly is annoying. So there are some pain points. There are some pain points, but it's not the worst. Anyway, I'm really late, so I need to go to my nan's now. So I dropped the phone and it is a lot bouncier than the iPhone, and it bounced several times under my car. But it didn't break. So it's relatively robust. It did sound like it was going to break because it's not, like, it doesn't feel that robust. But yeah, it bounced several times and then fell right in the middle underneath my car. The second error that I made is I forgot my purse. It's a bad habit because I always used to use Apple Pay and my wallet. But I took my iPhone with me because I wanted to use my Boots card. And the Boots card saved me £6, but ultimately my iPhone saved me because I could use Apple Pay. Because had I not brought it, it would have been very embarrassing when I got to the front of the till after a very large queue and realised I didn't have any money on me. Ballsed up there, but thankfully I did actually have my iPhone on me, and it's the first time I've had my iPhone on me since doing this whole thing whilst being out and about. Okay, so it's been a little while since I filmed the first part of this video, and I wanted to do an overall thoughts of what it was like using the dumb phone or the flip phone, and just give some closing final thoughts. So I have actually just picked up a proper SIM card. So with my iPhone, I was using an eSIM. So when I had the flip phone, I had just got a pay-as-you-go SIM card that I could use in the flip phone. After I was going to do it for a week, and I ended up doing it for a week and a half of using the flip phone because I actually got used to it a lot quicker than I thought I would. And the reason I actually went back to my iPhone is because I had the difference in numbers, and it was a pain to kind of keep up with everything that was going on because I hadn't given my new number out and I didn't want to change numbers. So I decided that I would get a proper SIM card that I could then flick between the flip phone and the iPhone. And that is pretty much what my plan going forward is going to be, is to flip between both. There are many pros to an iPhone, the camera being the main one. For me, at least, the camera and the wallet aspect of it. I'm trying to get in a better habit of taking my wallet out with me anyway, just because I feel like it's a logical thing to do and not to rely on my phone. But I will say, not having access to a camera as easily as it is on your phone was probably the biggest drawback. But overall, it really was a positive experience, and my using of my phone dropped dramatically because obviously there was really nothing to do on a flip phone, and it didn't really cause that many issues that couldn't be worked around. Now, I will say that the caveat of that is I was having to rely on my iPad for a lot of things. So if you don't have like an iPad or a laptop, then I can see how it would be way more difficult. So like my banking, any uni related stuff, just boring grown-up admin things really, I had to rely on my iPad for, or use my laptop for. So I definitely wasn't not using tech, but my screen time massively reduced. And one of the weirdest things that I noticed was that my days felt way longer, which wasn't something that I thought I was going to experience. And I think I hadn't realised that I hadn't felt boredom, proper boredom, in a really long time, because as soon as you get bored, you immediately pick up your phone. You don't even allow 10 seconds of boredom, because as soon as you have a break in something that you're doing, you grab your phone, or at least I do. And I hadn't realised just how bad that was until there was nothing to do on my phone. So for the first couple of days, I kept grabbing the phone and then being like, I can do nothing on this thing. But then after a while, you kind of get used to it, and you end up either doing nothing, which is actually really nice, just doing absolutely nothing, or I found that I was leaning into other things. So I was drawing more, I was journaling more, I was reading more. I just filled my time with a lot more things, which really shouldn't be that surprising. I remember times before a smartphone, like I felt like I had a lot more time. And I think because when you're doom scrolling, you can lose an hour or two and not realise it. So the internet on this phone obviously was available, and WhatsApp was available, which is my main thing that I want anyway. I will say this phone has terrible battery, like it's worse than the iPhone. It still lasts a whole day, but considering how infrequently you're using it, I feel like it should last longer, but it obviously doesn't. The alarm on it is very abrupt and disorientating. It's really aggressive. And even though it has the internet on it, it was so painfully slow and so hard to use that I just never used it. I suppose when I was young, if you wanted to do anything really outside of listening to music, texting and calling, you waited until you got home and you went on the family computer. And it's almost like that, and checking on my iPad. So I think the plan going forward is basically utilizing both, which I know seems like overkill, and then you have two, or you have multiple devices, which I think is a drawback. I feel like people have to fill the gaps because of the way society is now built around tech. They end up filling gaps and having multiple devices, which is obviously problematic in a consumption sense, but it's trying to find the balance, I think, between being completely chained to your iPhone and not having too many devices and not kind of over consuming. I think what I will likely do is when I notice I'm being on my iPhone too often, then I will switch to the flip phone, or I might have like flip phone at weekends and not in the week or something like that. But I've gone and got a proper SIM card, and the plan is to switch between both phones, try and find a healthy balance, and then eventually maybe just switch to a crap phone altogether. But overall, it was a really positive experience, and I think if you can get like a second-hand phone, I would really recommend it. It was actually really enjoyable. I thought I would hate it, and I was a little bit sad to give my flip phone a rest and go back to my iPhone. Obviously the iPhone is a lot easier, but yeah, I did feel a lot happier, a lot more calm, like I had a lot more spare time, just overall a lot happier with the flip phone. So if you are thinking about giving it a go, then I would personally recommend it. So thank you very much for watching. I need to go now, but hopefully I'll see you in another video very soon.